I'm audible and visible to all of you. You can let me know that through the chat section. And this is going to be a really interesting session, very focused academic session on how to deal with VARC, given that we are left with 30 days, right? So maybe, we'll have a quick, small little bit of chats for another 1 minute so that anybody who would like to join can also do that. And then we are going to start with the targeted preparation plan on the basis of what percentile you want to get. Perfect. Okay. Already a couple of questions have been there. How to calm if not able to understand RC. Okay, we'll talk about that. What to read in last days. All right. How to deal with low mock scores in last 30 days. Great. So we'll definitely talk about that as well. Perfect. Meanwhile, you can let me know in general that, how many of you are still experiencing problem with the mocks, in the sense that your mock scores are falling consistently, right? So fluctuation is a different thing, but if they are constantly falling or they are stagnant in a lower manner, then these things of course are slightly more I would say challenging, or something that should be concerned about. So we have to deal with that as well, right? Because ideally, of course, the scores should not fall if you are preparing well and if you are taking mocks regularly. So what exactly is the problem? So I think, we should also talk about that as well. And you can also let me know that in general, if you have to say give a small idea, in the last 5-6 SIMCATs, whatever you have taken, what has been your VARC percentile? VARC percentile. For example, if somebody has say 70, 75, 80, 85 and another one around 85. So you can say that more or less my average is reeling somewhere around 80 or 78. Okay. So if you have 90, 95, 70, 90, 80, then you can say 85 to 90. Right. So that at least I have some idea how should I guide you. Okay. Sir, if CAT 2024 doesn't go well, then what should be my next plan? I have 1.5 years of gap. Great. If we'll talk about this also. I think this is also a relevant question for this session. Great. So I'm getting some answers here, 75, 50, 60, and yeah, please feel free to write it down. No need to be shy. It's like saying that how will you ever get to improve upon your food if you do not tell somebody that I put more salt in it, or I forgot to put salt in that. Good. Okay, Suhail is saying VARC percentile around 90. I'm not sure. Suhail, are you the one who also texted me on Instagram? Did we have a chat? At least there was one Suhail who reached out to me, so I'm not sure whether it was you or not. Huh? Yes, perfect, great. Okay, good. So I think we have sufficient number of people, and we are at 11:03 right now. It is a good time to go to our detailed plan. So let's begin. So my dear, sit straight, spine erect, shoulders relaxed, smile on your face, and listen to me carefully if you want your VARC to be perfect. Today, the date is 26th of October. Exam is on 24th of November. So complete 30 days are also not there. And I am saying that you don't even have to study, say, at least 3 days before the exam. So if I remove a total of 5 days, then we are left with 25 days. 25 days. Now, whatever I'm going to say, please write it down. Please write it down. First thing is, in 25 days, how many mocks you should take, minimum and maximum. So minimum mocks should be 5, which means 1 mock every 5 days. This is the minimum mocks. Maximum mocks could be, say, 10. Maximum mocks could be 10. So if I say 10, then more or less every 3rd day you are taking a mock, right? Sometimes on a 2nd day, sometimes on a 3rd day. This is how you are going to do. More than 10 I would not recommend, and the reason is very simple. Whenever you take a mock, you analyze that mock, which takes around 4 to 6 hours. For some people, it can go beyond that as well. And when you analyze it, you get to know what was the problem. So you, of course, would want to give yourself at least one day to work on that. Maybe you find out around 10 topics in QA that you want to work on. Go ahead, great, do that, right? If you think that your DILR is not moving forward or your RC is not moving forward, at least you would want to give a bit of more push in next 2 days for that. Maybe 10 to 15 RC, and DILR sets every day. And of course, you are not going to do anything else when you are preparing for that. But then, of course, you should take the next mock. Otherwise, it makes no sense, right? That's why I'm saying that 10 should be enough. Now, a couple of people can also think that, what if I give mock every second day? Every second day would take you to 12 or 13 mocks or so, right? But there is a good chance that you might feel exhausted, which might reflect negatively in your CAT exam, actual CAT exam. So please don't shoot your bolt. Okay? So minimum 5, maximum 10. Plus minus up to you. I mean, I'm not going to give a strict tab on it. But if you are going to do anything less than 5, then I am saying that you are not serious, right? So, which is something I'm sure you would not really agree with, because if you were not serious, you would not be here in this session, right? So that is one thing. Second thing, whenever you are taking the mock, now this is where the real thing starts, okay, at 6 minutes 42 seconds after the start of this session. This is where the real thing starts. When you are taking the mock, my dear, listen to me carefully. It is all about number of attempts, because that will decide how much time is going to go into solving your questions. For example, let's say Ashish is going to take mock. Ashish thinks that I am going to solve 12 questions. If I am going to solve 12 questions, and if my all questions are wrong, still I am devoting 40 minutes to solving those 12 questions or not. That is what I am saying, that it is all about number of questions that you are going to solve. And with that thought in mind, you have to now think what my accuracy should be. The biggest mistake that people do is that they think, let me solve as many questions even if my accuracy is 50%. At least out of 24 questions, 12 questions will be correct. And if I remove the negative 12 also, then 4 questions worth of marks are gone, which means at least I will get 8 questions correct. And 8 questions mean what? 85 percentile? 85, 90 percentile, right? But no, this is not how it works. If that had been the case, you basically cracked the code of cracking CAT with the help of a guesswork logic. So what you should do, just take a look at what is your average percentile going on right now, and that's why I asked you that question. Take a look at what your average percentile is going on. For example, those of you who said that my average percentile is somewhere around 50, 60, then your next percentile should be 80. A target percentile should be 80. In fact, everybody should have 80 or 85 as the first target percentile if you are getting anything less than that. If you are already beyond 70, 75, at least 75 percentile, then your target percentile should be 90. What you should do? If you are below 70, likh rahe ho na? Likh lo. If you are below 70, 85. If you are above 70 or 75, then add 15 percentile to it. 15 percentile. 70, 75 to 90. If you are talking about 80, then 95. So just add 15 percentile to it. Only till this point. If you are already getting 90, then also your target percentile should be 95. Because a jump from 90 to 95 is slightly more taxing as compared to say a jump from 50 to 85. Okay? What about the targets beyond 95? I'll talk about that in a little while. Let's now start with what you should do to reach till 95, from 85 to 95. Are you all ready? अब ध्यान से सुनना. So this is, my note. 2020 100 percentiler scaled score was 61.66. This is given on our IMS website as well. So, you can just check that out as well. 61.66. 61 simply means 21 questions, right? 3 marks per question. 20 questions means 60 marks. 21 questions means 63 marks. When you are aiming to be 100 percentiler, it means that you will not be playing with an accuracy of 60, 70, 80%. You will at least play with the accuracy of 90% or more. Which means 100 percentiler might have attempted 22 to 23 questions, not even 24, or maybe somebody did that as well. But there is a good chance that if you do 23 questions, you can still get 20 questions correct at a 90% accuracy, taking into account the thetas and all that. What does this tell us? You are not supposed to attempt the entire paper. This is about 100 percentiler. Now, let's talk about 85 percentile. 100 percentiler, what was the score? Come on, let's see, if you can remember that. What was the score? 61. Raw scaled score, 61. The one who got 85, 86 percentile, the raw score was 21. 21 and 62. 1/3 of the score. 1/3 of the score. Clear? 1/3 of the score means 7 questions correct. If you are aiming for 85 percentile, 86 percentile, which is the cutoff, sectional cutoff, then to do 7 fully correct questions, write this down. You should aim for somewhere around maybe 10 questions or 11 questions maximum with an accuracy of 70%. And that is the skill you have to build. So if you have a total of 10 SIMCATs to take, you are going to do that in 2 SIMCATs and maybe 1 or 2 sectional tests. You will try to make that happen. You will ensure that I reach the 70% accuracy and I'm going to attempt not more than 11 questions. Is that clear to everybody? This is for 85 percentile. Logic remains the same. So I'm going to take a bit of more time in explaining this thing with the 85 percentile. For the rest, of course, I'll just be telling you the numbers. Okay, and a couple of things that are required. So those of you who are aiming for a 90 or so, don't think that this is of no importance to you. It is. Now, when you know that you want to attempt 10, 11 questions, now you have to decide from where these questions will come. Let's say you want to go for 10 questions. 10 questions means maybe 2 RCs. 2 RCs will give you 8 questions. You have to realize yourself that you are not going to attempt all 8 questions. So let's say you are attempting maybe 6 questions out of the 8 questions, which is a fair assumption, right? How many questions you are still required to do? 4. 4 questions you will do from verbal out of 8 questions. This is your plan. And how will you do that? The best strategy is always to sandwich verbal between 2 RCs. Perfect. But if you are only aiming for 10 questions, I would sincerely recommend go for the 2 RCs first, then do the verbal questions, and the time allocation should be, say, 10 minutes for the verbal questions. 4 verbal questions, 10 minutes would mean 2.5 minutes per question. 10 minutes for the RCs. Kitna ho gaya? 30 minutes are over. And now you are left with 10 minutes. You are going to spend the initial 10 minutes. It can be 5, it can be 6, it can be maximum up to 10. In deciding what RCs you are going to pick. On what basis you decide that RC? Go to SIMCAT Suffer lecture series on my IMS and go through the video called ABC for VARC. It will tell you how to decide the RCs. Perfect. That is how you attempt the exam. And this is not going to happen directly in the exam, so you have to practice that for next 10 marks. Similarly, now, if you want to aim for a 90 percentile score, just taking the 2023 logic. So, 21 was the score for 86. 24 is the score of 90 percentile. That means if you do one more question to your previous achievement, you make a jump of 5 percentile. Isn't it wow? Okay. Skywalker is saying that why don't you interact with people via chat, sir? It seems like it is recorded. So, beta, live session is in this manner that first of all, I should at least tell you what I think you should do, right? And I took a couple of questions initially, and then I'll spend good amount of time in going through your questions and answering that. Now, what happens in that case? Most of the questions I already would have answered, which will save a lot of time for you as well. Okay, that's why. But if it looks recorded, so I think I should maybe place a clock here, tick tick tick, real time clock and date thing. Okay, chalo. So I've been saying that from 85 to 90, only one more question. If you want to add one more question in the overall attempts also, ideally you should be aiming for say 1 or maximum 2 more attempts. Let's say from 10 to 12 with the same 75% accuracy. Achha, I'm also going to increase the accuracy when you are aiming for a higher percentile, na? Because it is expected that you would have built that kind of an intellect. 12 questions, 75% accuracy. Very normal, very normal. 12 questions. Now, how will you find those 12 questions? Again, you have to think. One way is same, 2 RCs plus a couple of verbal questions, but in that case, you will have to attempt more number of questions from RC. Right? Maybe, out of 8, you will have to do at least 7. And then maybe instead of 4, you might have to do 5 questions out of the 8 questions in verbal. Or the other thing could be that you do 3 RCs. 3 RCs will give you enough scope for 12 questions. Out of these 12 questions, if you do 9 questions from here, then 3 questions from verbal. Now you have to decide in the first 5 to 7 minutes whether it would be possible for you to deal with 3 RCs and few VA questions or 2 RCs and more VA questions if you are aiming for a 90 percentile with 12 questions as the complete attempt. Is that clear to everybody? Perfect hai? Cool na? Maza aa raha hai? Huh? Maza aa raha to give me a heart. Huh? Chal. This is how you have to do. And how will you test that? If you are not very confident about using your SimCAT for that immediately, use your sectionals. 1, 2, 3 sectionals would be enough. But then stop doing them, okay? Then again, come back to the SimCATs. Perfect? SimCAT, of course, now I think 17 SimCATs are already done. So 18, 19, 20. 3 SimCATs are there. So I'm not only talking about the proctored SimCATs, both take home and proctored. In fact, if you have exhausted them as well, previous year papers, all these things are available in the test mode on your My IMS. But this is where you have to do. I generally say SimCAT because SimCATs would carry a difficulty level of various kind, which will give you enough practice. Sometimes what we do, we just take a couple of previous year papers and then we think that, okay, this is working for me, so, I'm done. But you never know what things might change. So as a mentor, right, as an institution, we have to train you not for just one type of fight that we can, that we have been seeing, but for the fights that might come. Okay? So that's for 90 percentile. 95. If you are aiming for 95 percentile. From 85 to 90, one question was required. From 90 to 95, you need 5 more marks. From 24 to 29, let's say 6 marks, which means 2 questions are required. Now, are you seeing this thing? As we are going towards the higher percentile range, we are getting into more competition. Now the 5% leap is not happening at 3 marks. It is now happening at 6 marks. Which means for somebody to go from 70 to 85 might also require just one question. But that will be a leap of 1 or 2 marks only. 1 or 2 questions only. Chalo. So 29 marks or 30 marks for 10, which means 10 questions. 10 correct questions. If you want to do 10 correct questions, again, let's say 75% accuracy. So you might want to attempt 15 to 16 questions. So from 12, we have gone to 15 to 16 questions. Now, this is where not going for third RC is not possible. हो ही नहीं सकता. When you are aiming for 85 and 90, you can decide whether you want to go for more number of RCs or more number of verbal questions. But when you are aiming for 95 and beyond, you can't do with 2 RC at all. Then you have to do 3 RCs. How will you otherwise be able to take out 15, 16 questions to attempt? And now that you have to attempt 16 questions in a span of 40 minutes, you need to devote less time to deciding what your RCs should be. In this case, your strategy will be 2 RCs to start with, which should be your easier RCs as compared to others. Then some VA questions, whatever you want to do. And then you go to the third RC. For third RC, because it will be difficult, you want to find more time. And hence, for the first 2 RCs, you have to have less time. You cannot devote equal time to all the RCs. If that had been possible, then there would not be a difficult RC or an easy RC. Chalo, let's take a look at that. 16 questions. Maybe 5 minutes in deciding what RCs you want to attempt in that order 1, 2, 3. Now you are left with 35 minutes. In 35 minutes, let's say you want to do 3 RCs. 3 RCs, 12 questions. 12 questions may say you should ideally try to do 9 to 10 questions. If you are going to do 10 questions out of that, then 6 questions from verbal. 6 questions from verbal should not take more than 12 minutes in any situation. So 12 minutes are gone for that. 12 minutes gone, 35 minutes में से कितना रह गया? बताओ? 23 minutes, right? 23 minutes are there. In 23 minutes, I have to do 3 RCs. If I just divide that in just one go, then it is 7 minutes per RC, a little more than 7 minutes per RC, right? So better thing is that you go for 5 to 6 minutes for the first 2 RCs each, and then maybe 10 minutes for the third RC. That's how you do the exam. So you got to time that, which means when you are practicing at home, you should practice it with a countdown timer. Not for 1 RC, maybe do 3 RCs in one go and give yourself a total of 21 minutes and see how many questions you can do while ensuring your accuracy. Is that clear? So 95 percentile, 75% accuracy, 16 questions, and this is how your thing should be. 2 RCs, then VA questions, then 1 RC. This is where you have reached one level of excellence. 90 you reached one level of excellence, 95 you reached another level of excellence. Now we are going for the highest level of excellence. This where the mass competition lies, which means 99 percentile and more. Now again from 30 to 99 percentile, which means 95 percentile to 99 percentile, 4 percentile ka leap, you need from 29 marks to 40 marks. Yes. What's the difference? 11 marks, which means 3 questions. No, 4 questions. For a leap of 4 percentile after 95, you got to do 4 more questions correctly. Let's say 13 questions. You want to do correctly? 13, 14, 13 मान लेते हैं. To do 13 questions correctly, now you cannot deal with 70-75% accuracy. Now I'm going to assume 80% accuracy because you must have reached that level. At 80% accuracy, now you want to do 18 questions. 18 questions. 18 questions can happen either if you do 3 RCs and all the questions there, which will leave you with 6 questions to take from verbal, or maybe 7 questions from verbal and 11 questions from RC, which means that if you are aiming for 3 RCs, then you have to do most of the questions from those RCs. And this you can only do when you are good at RC. And when you will become good at RC, when you will practice the RC every day using the 5 pause approach. So random stuff cannot happen. If you think that हाँ हो जाएगा, nah, no random stuff. Very calculated. Here also you have to decide the RC order. So this is one way, which I think is actually a good way. You should not go for the 4 RCs in this case, because if you want to go for 4 RCs, you have to find out time to read that text as well. Na? Why? Why you want to go for 4 RCs? But if your speed is already good by now, then you can go for 4th RC as well. Maybe you will not be able to solve the entire RC because the time won't be much, but then I have a trick up my sleeve. You want to know that? I'm sure you do. The trick is, the most difficult RC can be dealt with in one fashion easily if you want to do only one question. Just take a look at the questions now. I do not recommend looking at the questions at all when you are solving the RCs. First you have to read the RC. But when you are talking about the 4th RC, then just take a quick look at the questions and find out if there are some specific detailed questions in it. What are specific detailed questions? Which of the following is true about so and so? That means specific detail. Now in that case, you know what you can do? You can quickly go into the RC and start scanning it. Maybe you will be able to find the answer. There is a good chance you might be left with only 3 minutes or so you can't still read the whole RC. But if you can manage this kind of thing for the 4th RC only, then you still get 3 more marks if you do that correctly. Right? That can also add one more question to your overall portfolio. And that's why I say that do not take anything lightly. Every single question, correct question matters from wherever you can find that. Now, many of you might be thinking why I am not saying that let's attempt all 8 questions from verbal. Because verbal thoda tedious hota hai yaar. Verbal is tedious. Tedious in the sense that it has some questions to confuse you, especially parajumbles because they are theta questions. I'm not saying you can't do that, but a simple, permutational idea would tell you that if you don't know anything about that particular set of 4 or 5 sentences, then you will have to make so many arrangements, 4 factorial. So that's why. Okay? And from 99, now you have to do things on your own in terms of incrementing your score. So from 99 to 99.5, you need one more question, correct question, which means your attempts would be 19 with 80% accuracy. For a 99.9, now see, now I am making a leap of 0.5 percentile with one question. And there was a time I made a leap of 4 percentiles with one correct question. And now take a look at that. From 99.5 to 99.9, you need 2 more questions, correct? 2 questions correct, 44 to 51 marks. This is where the massive competition lies. And this is where, so the moment you go beyond 99, it is imperative for you to do all RCs, and all the verbal questions. Now, all doesn't mean that all 24, but you have to deal with all of them. Perfect. Is the strategy clear to everybody? And again, I'm repeating that your strategy should be first RC, then verbal, and then the toughest RC. Some of you are good at verbal. At least, some of you think that reading a lengthy passage for me is slightly more challenging when I start my exam because my mind is very, fresh. It is not well oiled at that time. So in that case, I'd say that you go for verbal first, but ensure that you do not devote more than 5 to 7 minutes of the time. You can always come back to 1 or 2 questions of verbal later on once you have oiled your mind enough. But RC has to be the thing which is non-negotiable. You cannot crack verbal without RC. It is 66% of the exam. That was my side of the story when I talk about strategy and daily practice. Now let me quickly take a look at the questions. I'll only take those questions which I have not taken up as part of my monologue. So whoever was thinking right now that it might be a recorded session, you will know it is not a recorded session. How to calm if not able to understand RC? There is no way. You got to practice RC beforehand, and practice happens with 5 pause approach. Please go to VA 1.3 Take a look at 5 pause approach. It is not lengthy. It requires practice. Basically, you have to make the summary of every paragraph and overall passage. Then you have to make a shadow answer after reading the question. All these things have been talked about in VA 1.3. If you don't want to go there, go through any SimCat video. Whether I have recorded that or whether someone else has recorded that, we have done every single SimCat with the same approach, right? Just take a look at that. What to read in last days, now you don't have to read anything. Okay? So please, if you have time, devote that time to your practice. How to deal with low mock scores in last 30 days, we discussed that. Then score fluctuating, we discussed that. Okay? And your scores will not fluctuate now if you have this thing in mind. Ki, I have to aim for this thing and I have to carefully decide what I want to do. And guys, after every SimCat, when you look at the video solutions, just be very alert. On what basis you have decoded a particular RC and how the instructor has done that. Many times you just skip that part. You just go to questions. Please go through the passage explanation. Very important. Why otherwise analysis would take you 4 to 6 hours? That's why. Okay? Sir, algebra complete nahi hua. Should I complete it? If you are done with arithmetic, then of course you got to complete algebra if you want to, get more marks. But at least try to do as much as you can. What is the level of SimCat compared to actual CAT exam? Similar and difficult, definitely not easy. If CAT 2024 doesn't go well, then what should be my next plan, sir? I have 1.5 years gap. Try with this thing first. Dekho, I don't know what your profile is and I won't be able to assess it also right now, but I'm just taking a sort of an assumption. Let's say you are an engineer. You have 1.5 years of gap. You want to start your career eventually, right? You want that foot in the door. You want to do it from a decent college. Even if you get 90 percentile in CAT, and it is not difficult anyway, then let's say you do your MBA from IIT Roorkee, whose last percentile is quite low, right? You get a good start. ROI is also good. What else do you want? So don't aim for 2025 right away, at least not till 24th of November. On the exam day, you will know how you have performed. If you still don't know how you have performed, after a couple of days, response sheets will come, you will know how you have performed, then we can talk about it. But not right now. You are not going for CAT 2025 right now. When you want to go for that, we will talk about that later. Okay? I hope, Suhail, you got your answer. Samarth, you also got your answer. All those who said that, I am getting so and so percentile. I have analyzed CAT 22, 23 VRC previous year questions. SimCat questions are really tough crack as compared to CAT questions. Chalo, that's an interesting take. When you are taking SimCats in a proctored fashion, there is a mindset, I am taking the exam. And I tell you why I am saying this thing very convincingly. I have a proof of that. Definitely SimCats are going to offer you more challenge. Same challenge makes no sense, right? So don't worry about that. SimCats are of two types, proctored SimCats and take-home SimCats. Last year also I had the same thing coming from some people that, sir, take-home SimCats are easy. Previous year papers are easy, but SimCats are quite difficult. This year also the similar kind of thing is happening. Now your take-home SimCats are also the proctored SimCats of the previous years with some changes in them, wherever the changes are required. How can something which is a proctored difficult for somebody at one time and not difficult for somebody at another time? If we say that, overall the group remains homogeneous in terms of the overall profile. It is about your mindset. When you are taking the exam in the exam mode, then you are in a different mindset. आपको डर भी लग रहा होता है, right? But when you're thinking, take home, previous year paper, nahi. Currently, you are only being assessed during the proctored window. That gives you the impetus of working in the exam like scenario. If we actually stop doing that, if we just give you all the SIMCATs in one cookie, kar lena apne aap, do it the way you want to. Many people will start scoring better, but then eventually they will drop dead at that time during the real CAT exam. So that's why. So don't worry about the difficulty level. Yes, definitely, as compared to previous year papers, of course, SIMCATs mocks have to be challenging, right? Plus, when you are doing previous year questions as a question set, then it is one question set that you are doing, not as a whole 2-hour exam. Okay. Then daily one sectional each section, sir, instead of mock. There is no such thing called instead of mock. Sectionals are there to give you a bit of an idea whether your strategy is working or not. But there is no instead. No. Mock. Somebody is saying English speaking challenge is there, and somebody is replying, why are you here then? Don't fight among yourselves, yeah. If the English speaking is a challenge for you, then work on that button. That's fine. That's okay. But that's not the session for this. Yeah. How to adjust time for 4 RCs? We have done that. Practice beforehand. I'm not able to go beyond 19 attempts in VARC. So I don't know what your accuracy is. If your accuracy is around 80%, I don't think you even have to go beyond 19. Then you can go for maybe 20 attempts. And now you will have to find that 1 minute from couple of questions so that you can get an overall 2-3 minutes and so. How much in VARC in IMS mock is equivalent to 99.50 percentile? So every single SIMCAT will have a CAT percentile predictor. Why don't you use that? We have spent a lot of money on it. I'm not able to solve more than one set. Practice. Timed practice. Okay. सर मैं टीचर बनना चाहती हूँ तो क्या पढ़ूँ? आई डोंट नो कैसे टीचर आप बनना चाहते हैं. अगर वर्बल के बनना चाहते हैं, कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स के बनना चाहते हैं, तो मे बी we'll have to deal with that separately. Sir, I need warm up before RC, so I attempt VA first. Is it okay? Yes, it is. We, I think, talked about that already. What is SIMCAT Suffer? SIMCAT Suffer is a strategy series on your My IMS platform, and it is not SUFFER. It is that journey wala suffer. So either you write SIMCAT SAFAR Suffer, or you can write SIMCAT Strategy. It is also written in the brackets, so you can just Control F press karke. You can write SIMCAT Suffer. It will take you to that playlist. It is on your home screen. Very important. In fact, go through all 3 videos: ABC for VA, ABC for QA, ABC for DLR. It all talks about how to select your RCs and other questions. Assuming that I'm doing great in DILR and quants and I want to give around 60% of time just improving VARC, what would you recommend as further steps? Acha, so if it is too fluctuating, I'm assuming, then you have to focus a lot on RC solving. Give enough time to RC solving then. In fact, when you solve the RC with the 5 pause approach, it reflects on your VA performance also positively, right? But yes, and try a couple of sectionals. You also need to work on your strategy, because I don't know whether you are over attempting or under attempting and on what basis you are deciding. I'm expecting that if you are doing well in DLR and quants and things are not happening, Ashas, you gave another comment for following that. It can be anything like, if percentile is fluctuating extensively, then it is more of a guesswork that you are doing. You really have to resist the temptation of marking an answer if you are not sure about it, and see how it works for you. Still stuck at 35, 45 percentile in mock, what should I do? Aim for 85, 80 percentile and use that initial discussion that we did. Sir, I am in 9th, IIT करनी है, कुछ tips दे दो. This is not the session for that. But definitely reach out to your teachers. They will give you the tips, how to start, what things to prepare for your entrance exams and so on. I'm just reading the questions, so I hope you all can get that. Sir, scoring 20, how to score 40? Aim for 25 first, then 30. The way we discussed, 20 means 85 percentile, 25 90, 29 95. वहाँ तक पहुँच पहले. अच्छा, when you reach a percentile, take 1 or 2 more mocks. You also need to see whether it was that mock or that level of motivation that worked for you, or now you are becoming consistent. Okay. Bad accuracy. Okay, bad accuracy can only be dealt with practice. Practice and looking at the video solution and matching what was your thought process and what was the thought process of instructor. VARC is not a straightforward thing. It's not like, say, QA, where just knowing the formula and knowing what you have to do in the question will do. VARC cannot just happen. You got to really see, and it's about nurturing your mind over and over again. There is the subjectivity in objectivity in it. PJ and OO are time consuming. Odd one out ideally should not be time consuming. I don't know how you are doing odd one out, but there is a way which I have discussed in many simcats, which is that you find out the theme for each of the sentences, and whichever doesn't fall in that common theme should be the answer. But if you are trying to apply para-jumble thing in odd one out also, not a good idea. So main issue is some questions in VA or RC take 3 to 4 minutes, a single question. How not to do that? Leave that. See what negative performance it happens on you. And again, देखो, if you are aiming for 85 percentile right now, in that case 3 to 4 minutes is still you can devote to each question, na? But then if you are aiming for a 90 or beyond, then you might not want to do that, so you will have to skip such questions. In 6 to 7 minutes, what should I attempt first in VA? That depends on your inclination, right? So that's totally on you, whatever works for you. While taking mocks, I feel overwhelmed after VRC, have tendency to know the VRC scores ASAP, because of which DILR and quant is becoming awful. What should I do, sir? Don't look at that. मतलब ये तो वही बात है यार कि I know that if I put my hand in the stove, my hand will get burnt, but still I can't resist that. पागल है क्या? Your scores are already logged. You have to tell your mind that. And if it is this kind of an issue which is happening too much in general, also do some pranayam, meditation, exercise. So overall, it should calm your nerves down. Not during the paper, of course. But yeah, you got to really work. So sometimes what happens, there is a lot of rajas element in our body which makes us restless, and that hinders with our good decision making. Is SIBM Pune really good? Yes. How to access a question? I think you're trying to say how to find if a question is hard or not by practicing it. Achha, if you can't understand whether the question is hard or not, it is probably hard for you. Simple. That means you have not done enough questions. So better is you do a lot of RCs. Even if you do 7-8 RCs every day, 8 RCs and next 25 days मान लेते हैं. So कितना हो गया? 25 8s are 200 RCs. Just remember one thing, that you will still be in a better place 2 days before the exam than you are today. Acha, a couple of questions are coming on the for what type of forms should I fill. This is not going to be the right session on that, but I'll definitely come on a live mode on your type of forms and so on. In fact, instead I'll also try to record a video on that. In fact, currently I have uploaded the selection criteria for IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore. I'll keep on doing it for many other good P schools. So just take a look at that. Even if you are not really aiming for that, it will give you a fair idea as to what goes in their minds, right? So you will be able to assess the things for your specific colleges as well. Okay. Again, a couple of more questions on what forms to fill. Have converted MDI but deferred due to last year's fiasco. Something above MDI would be Blackie, FMS and SP, right? Pressure का सवाल नहीं है ना? No. That's okay. That's all right. Don't worry. So we will deal with that separately, right? In SimCats or CATs, any RC challenging and not understandable, I targeted 25 marks only in RC. How to deal? You are not targeting marks. You are targeting questions on the basis of your percentile. Remember one thing, you are not targeting marks. 25 marks आपको चाहिए, 8 क्वेश्चन में भी आ जाएंगे, कर लो 100% accuracy से. Do it with 100% accuracy ना. Don't do that, okay? Aim for a percentile, then aim for the number of attempts, then aim for your accuracy. That's all. And if that doesn't happen, then it's a problem with your accuracy and your practice. Then you have to work on that. I'm scoring 20 in Quant DILR, but in VRC I'm not crossing 20. So we just discussed that, na Abhishek? Same thing. Step by step aim and practice daily. 6 to 7 RCs minimum every day you have to do. I'm aiming for 85 to 90 percentile. Currently I'm scoring around 60. Is it possible from now? Yes, it is possible. Go for 85 first and then go for 90. It will take a lot of effort, but yes, it is possible definitely. क्या ये 2 question की बात है? I'm not able to attempt all 3 RCs, but not. I'm able to attempt all 3 RCs, but not VA. Not because of time, but I'm not confident on VA part. हमेशा गलत हो जाता है. Practice a lot of VA questions then. Ideally, if you are good at RC, summary questions is something you should be able to do. Odd one outs are also not very difficult given the fact that you have a particular strategy to deal with them. In fact, I have seen that para completion also is not very challenging. All of them basically use the RC skills only, comprehension skills. So if that is not happening, it is just a lack of practice. Do 50, 60, 70 questions of all these question types and you should be in a better place to attempt that. Is setting benchmark score for self before attempting SimCat? Yeah, that's all what the session was about. Right. So my dear, that was the last set of questions that I did. I tried to take up as many questions as I could find, the unique questions. If I still missed out on a couple of questions, please, feel free to put that in comments later on. I'll see if I can just respond to more of these questions, and I'll keep on taking more live sessions. But the important thing is, the final takeaway is, my dear, please solve a lot of mocks. Do daily RC practice for VARC. If you're not doing that, it's not going to happen. And third thing is, always aim for a percentile and the respective number of attempts. And then gear your entire 40 minutes toward it. That's all. If you, for example, if you aim for 85 percentile and you are, say, going for 10-11 questions, and if you are done with 10-11 questions in 30 minutes, you are left with 10 minutes. Do not attempt any more questions. Better is that you check whether you have done those questions with good accuracy or not. Once you decide something, you cannot go beyond that. You should not go beyond that. Is that clear to everybody? Perfect. So I hope this session was useful to you, and you will work really hard on that, and we'll once again catch up very soon. I'll try to catch up before Diwali if it is possible, and if it is not possible, then a very happy Diwali to all of you, right? And definitely, we'll come on live session at around that time when your admits cards are going to get downloaded. I think 5th of November. That is the date. Yeah? Chala, great. All the very best, my dear. Enjoy your rest of the day. Work hard. Take a quick break. and see you soon. Bye-bye.